In a small village nestled between vast hills and lush forests lived a young woman named Ayana. Her beauty was the kind that made heads turn wherever she went. But despite her radiant smile, there was a darkness that followed her, one that whispered behind closed doors and in hushed tones whenever she passed. Ayana was the daughter of a once prominent family, though whispers of a curse had plagued them for generations. It was said that no man who married into her bloodline ever lived long enough to enjoy the fruits of their union. Her mother had passed away when she was young, taking with her any knowledge of the origins of the curse, leaving Ayana with a father who had distanced himself from the village's superstitions. At the age of 20, Ayana met Kato, a kind-hearted young man from a neighboring village. His love for her was undeniable, and despite the warnings of the village elders, he proposed to her. Ayana, too, yearned for love and companionship, and against her better judgment, she accepted. The wedding was a grand affair, with music, laughter, and feasting. The village celebrated for days, forgetting the rumors that loomed over the event. Kato, strong and healthy, promised to protect Ayana from any harm, laughing at the thought of an old curse breaking their bond. For a brief moment, Ayana allowed herself to believe that the curse was nothing more than a tale meant to scare children. But as the weeks passed, she noticed small changes in Kato. He began to fall ill, first with minor complaints, headaches, fatigue. The village healer brushed it off, attributing it to overwork. Yet Ayana knew better. Deep inside, she felt a growing sense of dread, an ancient, unshakable fear that the curse was real. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and shadows stretched long across their home, Kato collapsed. His skin was pale, his breathing shallow. Despite the healer's best efforts, Kato slipped away before the moon rose. Ayana held his lifeless body in her arms, the weight of the curse pressing down on her chest, suffocating any hope she had left. The villagers stood at a distance, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and fear. Ayana knew what they were thinking, that she was cursed, that every man who loved her would meet the same fate. She felt the isolation grow as their whispers grew louder, filling the village with rumors of a woman who brought death to every man who dared to love her. As Kato was buried under the earth, Ayana stood alone at his grave. Tears rolled down her face, but her heart was not just grieving for her lost husband. It was weighed down by the knowledge that this was only the beginning. The curse was real, and it wasn't finished with her yet. Months passed after Kato's death, and Ayana's grief had only deepened. The once lively and hopeful girl had withered into a shadow of herself. The villagers no longer whispered, they openly avoided her. Where once her smile had brought joy, her presence now filled the air with tension and fear. The elders spoke in hushed tones of the curse, reminding everyone of the danger she posed. Mothers pulled their sons away from her path, and fathers warned their children to stay far from her home. Ayana, however, was not content to let the curse control her life. Desperation gnawed at her, and she knew that if she ever wanted a chance at happiness, she had to find the truth behind the curse. One night, as the moon cast a pale light over the village, Ayana set out to seek help. There was only one person who could provide the answers she needed, an ancient oracle, said to reside deep within the forest, far from the eyes of ordinary villagers. The journey was long and treacherous. The forest seemed alive, with twisted trees and thick vines that clawed at her skin. The shadows danced in the corners of her vision, making her feel as though she were not alone. But Ayana pressed forward, her heart heavy with determination. She had to know the truth. After hours of walking, she reached a clearing where a small, decrepit hut stood. The oracle, a frail old woman with piercing eyes, awaited her. The crone's gaze seemed to penetrate into Ayana's soul, as if she had known of her coming long before Ayana herself had decided to make the journey. "You seek answers, child," the oracle rasped, her voice like the rustle of dry leaves. Ayana nodded, her throat tight with fear and anticipation. "The curse. I need to know why it haunts me. Why does every man I love die?" The oracle motioned for her to sit, and with trembling hands, Ayana did as she was told. The air inside the hut was thick with the scent of burning herbs, and a strange heaviness settled over her chest. The oracle took Ayana's hand and closed her eyes, her face tightening with concentration. "It is not you who is cursed, Ayana," the old woman began, "but your bloodline. Long ago, your ancestors committed a grievous wrong, a betrayal of trust to a powerful spirit. The spirit's vengeance was swift and cruel. Every woman born to your family would bring death to the men who loved them." Ayana's heart sank. The weight of generations of suffering now lay bare before her. "But how can I break it? How can I stop this curse?" The oracle opened her eyes, sadness reflecting in their dark depths. "The curse is not easily undone. There is only one way to lift it. You must confront the spirit that laid this curse upon your bloodline. But be warned, child. The spirit resides in a realm beyond our own, and to face it, you must be willing to make a sacrifice." "A sacrifice?" Ayana whispered, her voice trembling. "You will know when the time comes," the oracle replied. "But be prepared, for it will test your heart, and the cost may be more than you are willing to bear." Ayana left the oracle's hut with a mixture of hope and fear swirling inside her. She had learned the truth, but it came with a price she wasn't sure she could pay. The spirit that had cursed her family was not a mere legend. It was real, and she would have to face it. But before she could even think of confronting the spirit, she would face yet another test of the curse's power. Only weeks after her visit to the oracle, another man entered her life. His name was Malik, a strong and kind-hearted farmer who had heard the rumors but was not afraid of them. Despite her warnings, Malik pursued Ayana, his love for her as genuine as the land he worked. Ayana, weary of the loneliness that clung to her, gave in to the warmth he offered. But deep down, she knew how it would end. Ayana knew that Malik's love, like Cato's, would soon lead to tragedy. As much as she wanted to push him away, the thought of living the rest of her life in isolation and despair crushed her spirit. Against her better judgment, she allowed Malik into her heart, praying that somehow this time would be different. Weeks passed and Malik showed no signs of the sickness that had claimed Cato. For the first time in what felt like forever, Ayana allowed herself a sliver of hope. Maybe the oracle was wrong. Maybe the curse had faded. Or perhaps Malik was different, immune to the dark magic that had haunted her family for generations. But the illusion of peace shattered one fateful night. Malik had been working in the fields, his strength a match for the harsh labor of the land. As dusk settled over the village, he returned home, but his face was pale, and his steps unsteady. Ayana's heart sank as she recognized the signs. She rushed to his side, her fingers trembling as they touched his forehead, which burned with fever. "No," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Not again." Malik collapsed into her arms, his breath shallow, his body weakened by an illness that no healer could cure. Ayana's mind raced. She couldn't bear to lose him, not like she had lost Cato. She had one chance, one final hope. The oracle's words echoed in her mind. "You must confront the spirit that cursed your family." With Malik barely conscious, Ayana knew she couldn't delay. She left him in the care of the village healer and made her way to the sacred forest, where the oracle had said the spirit resided. The journey was perilous, but Ayana's resolve had never been stronger. The thick trees seemed to close in around her, the air heavy with an unnatural chill. Shadows twisted and writhed in the corners of her vision, but she pressed forward, driven by her desperate need to save Malik. At last, she reached the heart of the forest, a place where the earth itself seemed to pulse with ancient power. In the center of the clearing stood a massive stone altar, covered in strange markings that glowed faintly in the dim light of the moon. And there, waiting for her, was the spirit. It took the form of a woman, her eyes glowing like embers, her hair flowing like smoke in the wind. She was both beautiful and terrifying, her presence filling the air with an overwhelming sense of dread. "So, you have come at last," the spirit said, her voice like the rustling of dead leaves. "You seek to undo what was done long ago." Ayana's heart pounded in her chest, but she stood tall, facing the spirit with all the courage she could muster. "I've come to end the curse. My family has suffered for generations. I will not let another man die because of me." The spirit's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Your family's suffering was earned. They betrayed me, and I exacted my vengeance. But you, Ayana, you are willing to face me. That is something your ancestors never had the courage to do. Ayana swallowed hard. What must I do to end this? What sacrifice must I make? The spirit's eyes gleamed with a wicked light. The curse can be broken, but it comes with a price. The man you love, Malik, must be willing to give his life for you. Only his willing sacrifice can break the chains that bind your family to this curse. Ayana's heart froze. The oracle had warned her, but the reality of the sacrifice was more than she had ever imagined. I can't ask him to do that, she whispered. I can't ask him to die for me. The spirit's voice was cold and unforgiving. Then the curse will remain, and every man who loves you will meet the same fate. The choice is yours, Ayana. Tears filled Ayana's eyes as she weighed the impossible decision. She couldn't let Malik die, but if she did nothing, the curse would continue to claim more lives. Her love for Malik warred with her desire to end the suffering once and for all. In the end, the choice was not hers to make. As if summoned by the spirit's words, Malik appeared in the clearing, his steps unsteady but determined. He had followed Ayana, knowing that she had gone to face the spirit alone. His eyes met hers, filled with love and understanding. I heard everything, he said softly, his voice weak but resolute. Ayana, I will do this for you. I will break the curse, even if it means giving up my life. No, Ayana cried, rushing to him. I can't let you do this. Malik gently cupped her face in his hands, his touch soft and full of warmth. I love you, Ayana. If this is the only way to end your suffering, then I will do it willingly. With tears streaming down her face, Ayana could only nod, her heart breaking as she accepted Malik's choice. The spirit watched with cold satisfaction as Malik approached the altar. As he laid his hand on the stone, a brilliant light enveloped him. Ayana screamed, but it was too late. Malik's sacrifice had been made. When the light faded, the spirit was gone and the curse had been lifted. Ayana fell to her knees, sobbing as the weight of her loss crashed down on her. Malik was gone, but his sacrifice had given her and her future descendants a chance at happiness. The curse was broken, but Ayana would carry the memory of Malik's love and sacrifice with her for the rest of her days.